What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode. My name is Chris, as always with me,
Liam.
and today we are diving into a 2-episode part of Daredevil Born Again, episodes 5 and 6. Disney went ahead and did something we've never seen before and dropped 2 episodes in one night, which is weird when they said they're going to keep dropping them individually. But once we watch the episodes, I think we figured out why, and maybe you did too. But if you stick with us, I'm sure you're going to figure it out. There's definitely a reason Disney did this. And before we dive in, if you have not subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and do so. We are officially over 26,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for joining in. We like to talk about movies. We like to share, character arcs and different things that we think are going to happen, and really just discuss what the TV series is about and what they're doing throughout that storyline. If you're looking for like the comic book origin of things or like the book to TV description, that's not this. This is just two guys. The best way I like to think of this is if you were at a break room with a buddy or a colleague or, hanging out outside of work or even at, break at work, and you were watching a TV series that your buddy also liked, you would naturally be talking about it. Well, we do too. And we actually like talking to you about it as well. So that's what we did. And it's been 26,000 people who have liked it as well. So thank you guys. So if you're not one of them yet, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, so you don't miss another single episode. We drop multiple a week. And without further ado, I'm done talking about us, so let's talk about the episode.
Yeah, we're about to hit 27,000, hopefully by this weekend with your guys' help. So, yeah, the episode 5 I thought was a complete waste and should have just been combined with the episode 6.
Yeah.
You could have interwove both stories easily together.
So I've been thinking about this a lot since I watched it, because I too, initially, and let us know what you guys thought in the comments, right? I too was like, man, this episode did not drive the story forward at all. There were certain key points of it that made sense, right? So we're watching Matt slowly go back into his ways. Like, he's still fighting, but he's not putting the mask fully on. Like, he's slowly going into that gray area. Mm-hmm. We are seeing the reason why the gang war is declining and falling apart, and why some of the lower gang lords are feeling a little bold and getting in Fisk's face, mm-hmm. right? Like, that whole thing is directly correlated to that bank robbery, right? They were going to use the diamond that looked a lot like an infinity, just shown to me, which it wasn't, but it did look like one, to pay off the $1.8 million in debt that Vanessa had put on them. But when Daredevil, Matt, stops that, no longer have that money. So that's why he goes and gets in Fisk's face. So I get why, but yeah, it could have been a 5-minute episode opener where they go in the bank, Matt stops it. They have the cool Easter eggs of, the Kamalas and Mitch Marble and all of that.
That's what I was going to say. That was the father, right?
Yeah,
I thought so.
I think that was really the whole cherry on the episode, is because Disney has had in the works now for a while, and we're not going to see it for a couple of years, but they have it in works and they're doing it. Young Avengers, right? They already are starting to set it up. We have Cassie Lang, who's going to take over the Ant-Man role. We have Kate Bishop, who will be the new Hawkeye. We have Iron Man's daughter. So they're setting it all up to have we have
Ironheart, right?
No, she's a different character. She also will be a Young Avenger. So they're setting it up, right? And then they also kind of hinted toward in this episode where they're like, oh, well, she's not home right now. She's in LA visiting, her friends. And the friend she's visiting is Cassie Lang. She's also they're out there basically building the Young Avengers behind the scenes right now. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool that they did that part. But the little pieces that they did share could have been little, 1-second Easter eggs in an actual episode.
Yes. And we didn't need the whole episode for a fucking bank robbery.
No. And this is why I was torn to bring it back. Because on a whole, I think the series is entertaining. I didn't dislike the episode. I thought that the fights were fun. I thought the banter was good. I laughed out loud a couple of times during that episode. I thought it was great. Well written as far as an episode. But it was like you took an episode from a completely different series and just inserted it in the center of Daredevil with some of the Daredevil characters.
I think that's my biggest gripe, or why I really didn't like the episode as much, is because of that. I feel like it took away from the very limited episodes that we have for this season.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so upset about that.
Yeah, and I'm a little sad because, we've had 2 more episodes now and no Frank Castle. We're building up to what will be, I believe, an epic showdown between this vigilante task force, Daredevil, Punisher, maybe some others from the Defenders team, who end up actually taking those guys down and going after Kingpin. But I don't think we're even going to see that till season 2 now, because they didn't put his mask back on till episode 6. So it's like my timeline of the way I thought things were going to progress is slightly off. I got a couple of things right, but like they slowed things down way more than I thought.
You got way more right about this latest episode Reacher that you'll see when that drops too.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Can't wait to talk about that in a minute, or after we're done with this one. But yeah, so really all we got to talk about for episode 5 is it was a bank heist. Becomes a vigilante again without donning the mask. Really, we got to see him use some of his actual powers, like the heightened senses that he has. Like he could rob a bank, he could crack a vault, he could see the guns and the room around him just by listening. So we got to see, like, that was cool, right? Like I said, it was the episode itself was done well, it just didn't fit. And so cool stuff. We got some cameos, we got some Easter eggs.
And we got the formation of the Vigilante Task Force as well.
And then ultimately we've got the start of what will be Kingpin's, elite force, his little, not watchdogs, but what do I want to think? It's just like an enforcer force.
That's okay. All in all, let's move on. Episode 6, where we get more Muse.
Yeah, so this was cool. So the world discovers from a B-list character that we meet in the bank robbery, who happens to also be the sanitation worker who is doing the cleanup of the murals, that this murals that we're supposed to be getting cleaned up around the city that are mostly defacing people in power, Kingpin himself and others. The most recent one, though, was of Muse himself showing up as Liberty, which was kind of interesting. But they are discovered to be made of blood because he can't get them to come off.
That's not why. They went and put another coat over the top of it. Epoxy.
Right, he can't get it to come off because of the epoxy. Very good. Excellent detail we need to add in. And that is how when he did the chemical compound to figure out how to get rid of that. Oh shit, this is human blood.
Yeah.
And then they find out how many victims?
Oh, I don't recall.
I think it's like 60 or over. It's over 60 total victims. And then 18 murals.
There was also something of unconfirmed stuff too that they mentioned.
Well,
let us know in the comments what those exact numbers are if you guys remember them.
Because I think if you remember in the mayor's office, Fisk is talking to the chief of police that they don't get along, right? And he calls him out like, we're going to do things differently since the sanitation department did your job before you, basically. When they know before you do, things are wrong, so we're going to do something different. The latest mural was, I think, the largest one where Kingpin was like kissing the bull's asshole. Yeah. That was with the money flying around. Yeah, because that's like the Wall Street thing. Yeah, it was very symbolic of like a caricature of like our government in the United States for sure. Yeah. So they ultimately find out though that there's 60 victims, and while they're in the mayor's office, I think he mentions, if it's not that scene, it's in a different one, that it would take about 3 victims, because they like calculate how many victims there were. There's like 18 murals that we've discovered so far, and for every mural based on its size, you would need at least 3 victims to have that much blood. And that's how they calculate that there's probably at least, X amount of victims. I think it's over 60 that no one knew about. Yeah. And that hurt Matt. That scene where he comes in and he hands him the drink and he's like, oh, that bad, huh? Okay, lay it on me. And he's like, yeah, you got to promise me you're not going to do anything. And he almost does it. But then you were right. I wrote off the niece for the rest of the season. I knew she would come back eventually and take on the White Tiger's mantle, and she still hasn't. But she's leaning that way. And when she showed up again in this episode, I'm like, Liam nailed it. She is going to play a much bigger part in the end of this season. And she did. I mean, ultimately, she is the reason that Matt puts on the mask. And he almost didn't save her. He fought with that. And then he said, fuck it. He went and put it on. Yeah, he had the choice to get his revenge and finish off Muse, or to save her. Yeah. Because she was already crashing. Like, he could hear her heartbeat and her breathing, like, slowly decreasing, like, we're almost non-existent. Well, I mean... And then he had to bring her back. If you think about the way the episode is laid out, that makes a lot of sense. We start the episode with Matt praying, and we're getting all the flashbacks of Foggy and Deadshot, right? No, Bullseye. Deadshot's the other one. Bullseye, Deadshot's DC. Then Bullseye and all these different, like, the montage, right, of the previous things. Right. So we get the beginning of the episode. We start off with this montage of like him remembering and reflecting on Foggy and praying about Foggy. And if you remember, like one of the most distinct things about the premiere episode of this season for Disney
Was Foggy died?
was Foggy's heartbeat fading, right? And then going away. And then that effect that it had on Matt. So in this one, when you start to hear it fade away, you know Matt's never going to let that happen again, right? So he chooses to let go and ultimately save her. And then Muse gets away.
I've seen some theories online from other people saying that there was a comic book run where Foggy's death was faked to a point where it could, so Matt wouldn't be able to notice. That he would be convinced.
Possible. I mean, there's been a lot of hints towards Foggy not being dead, right?
Because that was straight out of the comic.
A lot of theory.
Yeah, they even mentioned that when they showed something like the house number or of the building address, that was the comic book issue of that same comic book.
Yeah.
Of Foggy's death being faked in the exact same way.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Is Foggy really dead? Or is he going to make a real life appearance? Not a flashback cameo, but a real life present day appearance.
But the part that I truly loved about the Muse fight was the mirroring of Kingpin yet again.
Yeah.
I absolutely love when they do this. I can't say that enough. I love how linked they are and how they're going from one scene to the other. Honestly, the only thing that could have made it better for me would have been a little more of when Daredevil went and hit Muse. Quick scene change to Fisk's fist hitting the other guy.
Just, yeah, that'd be cool. I know.
Just a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
Where it blends so much more seamlessly. Visually, that would have been so much more fun for me. I still love what they did here, though.
Yeah, so the fights in Daredevil are some of my favorite scenes. Just the pure, like, primal nature that they put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that... To me, that's like just that scream that Matt does when he's fighting Muse. Like he like just lets that. That's just like whoa. That scene by itself was awesome.
Because that's emotional. Yeah. Everyone can relate to wanting to scream when they're so frustrated, pissed off, or at their wits' end, or any of that.
Yeah. I also thought it was really cool to see. I thought Fisk was going to hack him up at first.
I did too.
Just hack him into pieces or cut his hands off because that was his most precious thing, right? Mm-hmm. Because of art, and he touched his wife, cut him off. But no, he just wanted to make it fair, or at least try to make it fair. But is it ever really fair when you're fighting a fucking brick wall? Like, you can't hit him and hurt him.
I was thinking, why did he never go for the legs or the knees?
Do you think that man's ever swung an axe in his life? Let alone try to use one as a weapon?
I honestly don't know.
I just want to talk about that one thing really too, and when we can jump to the next thing. I agree with you that the mirror imaging of Daredevil and Kingpin is probably like some of the best stuff inside of the series. You know, you have your angel in devil's clothing and your devil pretending to be an angel. But what I thought was really interesting is that, you know, Matt's fighting this dark, bloodied-eyed, demon-esque style villain, and you have Fisk beating up a dude that looks like Jesus. Just beating up Jesus on the other end. I was like, man, they really went for this one.
Yeah, they did. I honestly thought that it was going to be over and that dude was going to be dead, like completely dead afterwards. But no,
he has to keep his promise to Vanessa.
I was wondering, because you kept mentioning the bloody fist. Is this why? It's the same thing he does each time until he's broken, or even more broken.
I don't know. I think that. So I'm torn because one, he didn't look beat up enough for Fisk to have gone ham on him like he just did. Like this guy is like barely breathing right now. So either he's beating him to a pulp, barely breathing, having medical teams come in, save him, bring him back, and then he's just beating him again. I don't know. That seems a little bit more far-fetched. What I think he's doing now is he was enjoying meals, just torturing him, listening to him scream for help, like knowing that he had control, that man was at his mercy now. Like he was just getting back into the mindset. I think I believe now, what we saw was his first time truly unloading on him.
So like losing his control because things aren't going the way that he wanted everything to go.
And that was a big through line through this episode. You know, he deals with the upper elites during that fundraiser, and you can actively see, I mean, D'Onofrio did an amazing job playing Kingpin, and even more so in this episode, because you can see as the people start to like attack him and bite at him and just kind of nag at him, he's like, he starts twitching, like his face muscle just starts twitching. And I was like, you can see him like holding back the rage, almost as if that angel mask is like starting to shift a little, and that demon within is coming out, and he's like showing it on his face as he acts. I'm like, damn, that's good.
I made note in this episode, but I don't remember which scene because I didn't write down which scene it was in. But the swordsman from Hawkeye, I think, was in it.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, he's one of the.
That was him.
He's one of the New York elite. He's the one that calls out Kingpin at the fundraiser.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, it was him.
Okay. Just wanted to get that out there before I forgot about that one.
Yeah, he tells him not everybody agrees with your anti-vigilante task force.
Yeah.
And you better be more aware and concerned of the rich people in this room than you already are, right? Like, because he was like, I don't care about these people. They don't even know what it really takes to make things happen. And he's like, I would be more concerned about these people than you might be. And ultimately, too, like the whole vigilante thing goes in the fact that he is a vigilante, right? He's swordsman.
And I was wrong. I mixed up the episodes. It was the Vigilante Task Force formed in episode 6.
Yeah, I was gonna say episode 5 was really just the Bangkok.
It's literally just a Bangkok.
Yeah, maybe it was the end. It does blend together, right, when you watch them back to back like that. No, but I thought it was cool because he also cameos like in the not the bank. I'm talking about Swordsman again. He cameos in the BB footage as well. The street footage. They're like recording a vigilante, like fighting 2 guys. And that's him, like his swordsman in like a black hood. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And you see him like later in the episode as like his richer self again.
Well, they're gonna have all kinds of fun stuff added in with this. I see in season 2, because you know there's gonna be a season 2 for this.
They already started leaking footage of what's coming.
Oh, have they?
That's what I've heard. I've been seeing little, teasers.
Okay.
That's how I know that, unfortunately, we're not going to get a conclusion on. We're only watching things escalate up. We're not going to get a real conclusion on the Vigilante Task Force or Kingpin and Matt or any of that anytime soon. I think we're going to close out this season with him ultimately taking down Muse, and then Kingpin revealing himself to be the true big bad, and then that's where they head into season 2. What do you guys think about that theory?
So I liked the second episode a lot more, obviously, because it stuck to the story and the whole mirroring thing as we talked about. But this episode was a lot of fun. Or if these 2 episodes were combined, it would have been a great, perfect episode to continue the series. And then we'd have just a couple more episodes that we could get more of this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I still enjoyed it. But yeah.
We have, I don't know what her connection is, but that Detective Kim, who was like the only one working on St. Patrick's Day, she shows back up directly connected to the Muse case. So I don't know if she has like a deeper story to tell here. Like if her story is going to go deeper, if she's more than just a throwaway one-off detective that day,
Well, she obviously is.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see. What do you guys think her deeper role is? Is she good, evil? Is she...
Oh, she's good.
Yeah?
She's definitely good. She's rough around the edges. She's like Duffy.
Oh, we're going to talk about Reacher here in a minute.
That's where my mind's getting prepared to go, right?
Yeah, so I think that ultimately, let us know what you guys think in the comments about your theories on why they dropped 2 episodes back to back and what you thought of these episodes as well. I think they dropped both episodes because the first one had nothing in it. There was no substance. So they're like, we got to at least push the story forward. Otherwise, no one's going to show up next week if we just give them a bunch of filler. And so they gave us what we wanted with filler, which still... it was pointless. Like they could have, the pieces that happened in that episode that actually moved the story forward could have been 5, maybe 8 to 10 minute clips of an episode, not a whole episode itself.
Or just some cutscenes that go back and forth between the actual story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
So what did you guys think? Drop it down below. Appreciate you guys getting all the way to the end. My name, as always, it never changes. I love when you guys make fun of me for saying that in the comments because I always slip up and say it. So appreciate you guys. Everything is welcome in the comments, whether you want to call me an asshole or tell me I'm awesome. I accept it all. Always with me, though.
Liam.
And if you're not already a member of our Patreon, you should go ahead and do so. You get early access to videos, shout outs on videos, and for a little cup of coffee, you greatly help us out. So links in the description.
And you can possibly vote on next series that we do.
Ooh, get a little control behind the scenes. All right, so with all that being said, guys, nothing else, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss another episode. Hit the notification bell, and we will see you on one of our videos. Matter of fact, we have a whole playlist of them right here, so you can check them out, as well as another playlist down here that you can definitely check out. A lot of really good stuff on there, and YouTube says you really love the one above my head, so you can check that out as well. But no matter what, we'll see you on one of those videos. Peace.
Find the strength hiding in each battle scar. You're not who you were, you've already come far.